focus on other things in my life at trying to like be successful at them or trying to be good at whatever, right? And I was never really great at addressing or like going head first at those things. And like, bro, I mean, I was telling you, I had a fucking 8-year relationship that like I fucking destroyed. You know, I destroyed from the beginning because I was so afraid. Like, I got into a relationship prior to her, and it was like I had this form of attachment where I was like, I feel like I love this person. And looking back now, it was just as like I didn't want to let go because I was so afraid of loss, because I didn't want to deal with loss, because I was dealing with it my whole life. Like I was afraid to really love, and then when I really loved and it was the wrong person, then they're like gone. You're like, oh, I'm heartbroken. And then I found the girl that I actually really love, and then I was playing both sides of the fence. This is the 8-year girl, and I was playing both sides of the fence. So there was a girl prior who was like, I love her, and she broke my heart. And I was so sad. I was calling my mom every day, crying, saying like, oh, why is this? And if I just did that, it'd be like this. And if I didn't do this, and it could be like that. And this is all in retrospect. Like you never see it in the moment. And then it's like, and then I met a girl who's like this amazing person, like just got out of like a bad relationship where she had trust issues, had some like father stuff. Like there's a lot of stuff, but I came into it being like, well, I don't want to get hurt anymore because I was just hurt, but like I like this person. Let me play both sides of the fence, like kind of be here, but like not really be here, because I'm gonna protect myself, and so to like flirt with other girls and do all the shit that like, man, I tell you, 8 years later, like right now sitting here in front of you today, like I regret doing that. Mm-hmm. I did it because I thought I needed to do it to protect myself. And the number one thing that it taught me was like, if you live based on like what you've been through constantly, if you're just living on what you've been through, you're not really going to see much change in your life, like, in any sense. If you base all your decisions off of just what you've been through, like in sort of like without being like, okay, I've been through this, what did I learn? Just like I've been through this, now I'm here. I've been through that, now I'm here. I've been through that, now I'm here. The difference I'm saying is like, I've been through that, like what happened to me? Like who am I now? What did I learn? How did I get better? How did I get worse? And I didn't realize that until it's too late. You know what I'm saying? Like you don't realize that until you're like, I'm looking back 8 years and I'm like, fuck, man, like I see exactly what I did wrong. And it's like, and then you get to a point with that person, depending on their own like life, where when they mature and understand what they really want, or like when they're, you know, because if you understand, you learn what you want, you learn what you don't want, like you learn that more and more through the experiences. But if you're not looking at the experiences for what they are and trying to understand those things, you have a much harder time making like a concrete decision and like moving forward. And you kind of live like, you know, they talk about relationships, people have them, and then it's like you have a relationship with a girl and it's like it didn't work out because of this, and then you find another girl and then it didn't work out because of like the same kind of thing, and then it didn't work out because of the same thing, because they're not really addressing what the fuck is going on with them.
Yeah, well, it's almost a little unfair to say that, oh, like you like found out too late or whatever, because the way that people behave in their, you know, intersexual dynamics in their relationships with, you know, the opposite gender, you know, romantic relationships, it comes down to, you know, how they were raised in their family, right? Yeah. Just like subconscious programming. Even when the child is in the womb, like when you're literally a baby in your mom's stomach, just the way that the mother and the father are acting, there's like weird metaphysical intuitions that the children's like getting, like learning and building and all that. So, you know, nowadays, like the likelihood of someone having a completely normal, traditional, healthy nuclear family upbringing is extremely low. Almost everyone has like issues. It's just simply the case, and no one's really aware of exactly what's wrong. They're running on autopilot. They're getting into relationships. They're unhappy. You know, they break up. They move on to the next one. There's like this recurring theme. Yeah. Right? So it's important to stop and, you know, analyze your behavior, try to, you know, get a pattern going, and just like look in and try to figure out, you know, why you're doing what you're doing. But it's normal and healthy and almost okay, at least I believe, to make those mistakes. Because if you wouldn't make those mistakes, you wouldn't know what's, you know, initially wrong. But just if you don't address those situations, you just keep, you know, going on all, because it's almost more comfortable to continue dysfunctional, unhealthy relationships, as painful as they may be. It's almost more enjoyable and easier to do that than address, you know, the serious issues at hand, because that requires, you know, pain, introspection, growth, etc.
So perfect, right? 100% facts. My question to you, just I want to see what your opinion is on this, based on just your fucking life and 22 years old from that perspective. Why do you think it is so much more difficult to do that than like go order a fucking sandwich? Like why are people so afraid of that?
Go order what?
Go order a sandwich. Like you can decide, like you might have a hard time, you're like, do I want this or do I want that? It's something simple, right? That you'd be like, that should seem simple, when obviously this is not simple. Mm-hmm. But why do you think people are afraid of it? Because that's what it comes down to. People are afraid of dealing with that deep internal that deep-seated thing that's like makes you, that drives you or pushes you this way or pushes you that way. People are afraid of it. Why do you think they're afraid of it from your perspective?
Well, two reasons, I guess. One, because generically speaking, anything that's uncomfortable, you'd rather do something else. This goes back to what we were saying initially when it comes to fitness, right? Why would I want to go through all this work and building my body, eating this way, going to the gym when I could just order this in and out, or this, that, right? So, just generically speaking, things that are enjoyable, valuable, worth having in life, they require work and difficulty to get to, because that's just simply how it is. But two, it's also pretty hard, like in the sense, because it's so subconscious, the way that you're acting, you don't understand, so it almost requires like a profound psychedelic experience, like going to therapy consistently, or just like sitting in meditation for a long period of time, trying to work things out. So even once you like decide that you want to figure out what's going on, it's still like it's as much work as it is building a body, going to the gym, like therapy, talk,
It's hard.
It is. It's very, very hard. And I'm not sitting here, I'm fucking have all my shit figured out by any means. I'm obviously still.
I don't know.
I'm still.
Which is crazy, bro. Like, it's so crazy, man. I remember being a fucking kid, legit being like 17, 18, 19, 22. Yeah, but even more so when I was younger, like 12, 13, and being like looking at like 22-year-olds and like 30-year-olds and be like, these motherfuckers understand it, man.
Mm-hmm.
Like they know it. They know what they're doing. Like they got the car. They just bought a house. And I remember growing up being like, damn, when I'm there, like I'm gonna understand too. And now I'm here at 31, like I'm still trying to fucking figure my life out. Like I have obviously my life is much, much different now. Like I can move differently because of all the things that I've been able to create or bring into my life. But at the same time, like you still consistently find yourself being like, well, what do I really want to do like now? Like what's really pushing me? What's driving? What's making me passionate? Like what's making me like who I am right now today? And it's never always the same thing. I mean, there might be a core value, like a core belief, but like you're constantly evolving and constantly changing. I think that's important to tell people listening, because like a lot of people at times be like, I just don't know what I want to do. And I'm gonna ask you a question after this, but I always, because people will talk to me, and I will always have this conversation with people when I met them in person, like at expos or whatever, at the gym, they come say what up, and they'd be like, how did you figure out what you wanted to do? Like, how did you get to like do fitness? And my best advice to anyone listening is like, just do things you think you like, do things that you enjoy. And you don't have to be like, okay, I like working out, so I need to make money. Like that's not the right mindset to have. Like just try and figure out what you like, what really makes you happy when you do it, and try and do it and try and be better at it and try and be better at it. And then at some point there may be an opportunity, maybe you're like, oh, I might be able to monetize this. But a lot of people start it this way. They're like, oh, I want to make money. I see you doing it. Let's do it.
That's a really good point. I think yielding into your instincts is very, very important, and calibrating if you're in someone comes in that regard. But yeah, for example, like for me, when it came to fitness, I was just so passionate about it. Like I said, I didn't have any predetermined outcome of being a fitness influencer, whatever that means. And that wasn't even like a conception or a term back in the day. But I just followed my gut, and I arrived in a certain position. But I feel like what a lot of people do is they'll see, okay, this person behaved in this way, they did this thing, these things, and they achieved this high level in this particular dominant hierarchy, right? How could I, on the most like Machiavellianly sociopathic way, reverse engineer what they did to get to their position? Because I think that if I arrive in their position, I will be happy, satisfied, fulfilled, etc. Right? Then you have a lot of people do that. They'll get to that point, they're like, fuck, I'm like not happy. So it's really, I mean, it's tricky. It's like it's seductively tempting to almost like want to do that sometimes, but it's not the right path to go down, because like what you do should come from a place of kind of like authenticity in the sense that I feel like in a way almost the more concrete and clear your vision of what you want to do, like I don't know the right way to put it. It's important to do something, like you have to, the things that you do, like to be like for example, like fame, money, success, whatever, that should be like, we all know it should be like a byproduct of like doing what you love. But people that like put the form before the ladder, however you put it, chase all that, like they'll get there and they won't be that happy. But other people will perceive them as happy, and they'll know that other people perceive them as happy, so they'll like keep pretending like they're happy and like feeding off the validation from the people that think that they're happy, but like deep at night when they're laying on the pillow, like, fuck, I'm unhappy, but I'm gonna continue on fucking.
Yeah, well, that's a lot of people live their lives like that.
Yeah,
like a lot of people live their lives like that.
Yeah,
and that's, I think it like I say, it's figuring out what you really like, what you really want to do. Because people would, I mean this, people would hit me up and be like, yo, I want to do what you do, and then they're like, and I'm like, this is the number one question I always ask people, why? And they go,
Yeah.
they go like this. They go, I want to help people, and I say, why? It's not enough.
Yeah.
Oh, cause like I want good for people. I'm like, why? It's like, and I remember I had this conversation at least 100 fucking times, and I'm always getting down to the point, and like I was like, ask me why I do what I want to do. Ask me why I'm doing what I'm doing, like what you see me doing. Ask me why. Ask me why. I'm like, because I'm trying to be a person. I'm trying to be something that I didn't have in my life growing up. I'm trying to be that for another human being, and I can say without a shadow of doubt, like that is 100% the thing that drives me. And
Що
I'm not
тобі
saying everyone needs to
своя,
know
ти
exactly
береш
what that
мою.
is, like for
Або не
whatever you're
хватає.
doing. Like, you know in your heart if you go, this is why I'm doing it because it's a good opportunity to make money. You can be successful. You can find success. But when you get to that point, you're like, I have the dollars. Like you said, are you at night being like, oh, I'm really fulfilled? If dollars are the things that really fulfill you, then fine. But like, I know so many people. I know people with all kinds, billionaires, all this like ridiculous amount of money, and they all are saying the same thing. Everyone says the same thing. Like, you could have all the money in the world. That's not going to make you happy. Of course, I want everyone listening to fucking pursue their goals, financial goals, dreams, get a nice house, get a nice car, have all those amazing things. But you will realize when you have that, that's not the true thing that's like, oh, I'm fucking happy. And the ironic thing about that is if you live your life in a way that before you have all that, you're able to find happiness, I guarantee you're able to figure out a way to find all that money through that genuine happiness and that genuine purpose. And if you're able to, like, I can honestly say, like, I am so fucking happy with the way my life has gone. All the bad shit, all the negative shit that I've gone through on the internet, all the shit that I've gone through in my personal life, all the shit I've gone through in my relationships, my fucked up 8-year relationship, my father taking his life, and all the moments in between that I was like fucking heartbreak, all these thoughts of like, I don't want to go there, but like depression, all these different things